Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Phoenix, Arizona, it's time for Phoenix Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Welcome, everyone, to the LURNIST Show, broadcasting live to you today from the Phoenix Business RadioX studios here in Tempe, Arizona. I'm your host, Deborah Hildebrand, and for the next hour or so, we will be talking about education, ed tech, and related topics with our special guest. So I want to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Hildebrand Solutions, where we offer training and coaching in project management. You can find out more at hildebrandsolutions.com. So I'm really excited today to have Ryan Adams, Digital Media Manager for the University of Washington in Seattle, on with us today. So Ryan and I have made, well, he says hundreds. I thought it was dozens, but I guess it's hundreds of education videos together for the Project Management Certificate Program there at the University of Washington. So I know how awesome he is. So I'm really happy to have him on today. So thanks so much for joining me today, Ryan.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
All right. So yeah, it's going to be fun. So why don't you tell us about yourself, your background, and what you do at the university?
I'm a filmmaker. I fell into the education arena about 7 years ago. I had been worked as a cinematographer and a colorist. I had shot feature films, commercials, music videos, corporate, just about everything. And then I stumbled into a job at UW. And 7 years ago, online learning was more of an afterthought. It was a lot of narrated PowerPoints, and it wasn't very engaging, and nobody was using video. The reason that is that video equipment had been extremely expensive for the longest time. And then with the DSLR being able to shoot video revolution, suddenly the equipment became extremely affordable. And for a few $1,000s, you had a professional looking camera, off-the-shelf PC suddenly could edit video. And so we started building up the capabilities of the University of Washington, our particular division is called Continuum College. We started building up the ability and the quality and then the quantity of video that we offer in courses. And so the courses have become way more dynamic. And so I have 4 or 5 employees, and we make over 1,000 videos a year for all different kinds of courses, from certificates, which is how I know you. You were one of our instructors and course developers for our project management certificate. We do credit courses. We do MOOCs. We've done just a whole mess of things, which has been super fun because it's like every day it's a whole different topic. Project management was one thing that I was not interested at all until we started shooting the hundreds. Well, it was probably dozens of videos with Deborah, but it felt like hundreds. And I learned a lot. I realized that like a lot of her discipline actually were things that I was doing and things that I thought about, and then I learned something from shooting those courses.
Go ahead. And we just didn't do the certificate program. I also did an edX program with you as well, and that was when I first met you. So I think it was hundreds of videos. It was a certificate program. Yeah.
I manage thousands of video productions a year. I forget a lot of things.
Yeah, I'll bet.
And then I'm also a filmmaker. A few years back, I directed a film called Where the House Was, as a documentary about a beloved arts institution here in Seattle called the Richard Hugo House. And it was in a funky old Victorian building that was being torn down and then replaced with a new building. The organization was going into the same building, but I was friends with the founding director of that organization in the late 90s. And so we used that as an opportunity to archive and document the evolution of that organization. And if you've watched any of the Seattle protests on Capitol Hill, literally right where that house is and the organization now is, right there on the corner of 11th and Pine. So it's been really interesting to watching Facebook feeds and being like, that's where I shot my movie. So that film is currently currently in festivals. I had gone to Portland, Oregon literally the day of the lockdown, I got on the train here in Seattle going to Portland. We were showing at 6:30, and then the governor's orders came down that we were being locked down. So the film hasn't been shown since, but it's making the rounds around the country when lockdown is lifted.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. I'm excited to see it. And so explain to people, because I didn't really understand this until I talked to you a little bit more. But how does it work with the different departments at the university for you? So like they hire you or they pay you, or how does that work? Because you belong basically to like who? The Continuum College, or how does that work?
Yeah, I work for
universities out there that don't do it yet.
Right. So I work for Continuum College, which is is under the umbrella of the University of Washington. We used to be professional and continuing ed. So, and then I work for a department called Academic Excellence. And so my team we're in an instructional design department. So we work closely with instructional designers. We make videos specifically for online courses. We do not shoot live classes. We have another division that does that. And that's where I've always drawn the line. I feel like it's videos produced specifically for online audiences are better because it's a direct one-to-one between the instructor and the online student. So it's one-to-one for however many students you have, whether it's 3 or 300, right? It's a one-on-one there. Whereas when you're teaching it live in a class, you're teaching to the live audience, and then the online audience is an afterthought. And you really can't do both at the same time, not very well. Of course, there's always an exception. Somebody can do it, but most can't.
And so go ahead.
So then to your question, how do we get clients? So we have campus partners right now. We're developing programs for summer quarter that are all online. We were doing this before the lockdown anyway. So again, developing courses directly for online students. And then we run them, my organization runs them in the summertime. And then during the academic year, it goes back to the colleges or the individual departments, and they offer and run the courses. And then Continuum College also owns a lot of courses, mostly certificate programs like the project management program. We build out MOOCs that we put out, so on edX and Coursera. Our most popular MOOC we ever made is Introduction to Public Speaking. I think it's currently on edX, and it's had literally well over 1 million students worldwide. Mm-hmm. It's extremely popular. One of the best things that we've ever produced at Continuum College. So we build out our own certificates. Campus partners come to us for some credit stuff. We have an online degree that we developed years ago called Integrated Social Sciences, which is a degree completion program by the University of Washington, and essentially a liberal arts degree. And then we have other master's programs also that we develop and offer.
Yeah, and so when I first worked with you, when we did edX, it was basically like you doing all the videos, but now you have a team, which is really cool. So how many guys do you have now? Or I'm sorry, guys and girls.
Unfortunately, it's not just guys right now, but I have. How I've been doing this is I have had one FTE that's been with me for the past 5 years. I'm in the process of hiring another FTE, and then I use contractors, mostly as editors, and then sometimes shooters as well. It's been really great with the contractors because I've been able to get really high-level editors that like the flexibility of being a contractor. In a lot of ways, what we do is factory work. It's a lot of videos being churned through. And we try to make every video good, but we don't, like when I did corporate work, you would spend a week, 2 weeks, sometimes a month on 3-minute video. We crank out basically a video per day per worker is our
crazy.
Average. Yeah, it's crazy.
I know, it's crazy how much you guys are putting out. I just couldn't believe how much. And when you were doing it by yourself, it was really crazy. But I mean, like now you can put out so much, and I think it's great. And so I'm asking you these questions because there's like a lot of educators out there that maybe don't know that they can like build something like this, about basically like their own digital media department that does just videos for their courses. So I think it's really, really great what you do. So let's get started with the questions. So what are the elements of good instructional media? And when I say good, I mean good.
So some of the elements of good instructional media, one of the things I think is the most important is that you need to know your audience, right? So the project management student is very different than the geography student, and their expectations are very different. I know when we were making project management, I didn't think the videos were very exciting. I thought they were a little boring, but it's been interesting. Mm-hmm. The feedback we've gotten from the students is they absolutely love it. Now, if I had to take that same style video and put it in a geography course, the students would have all fallen asleep. So again, each audience is different and specific. Another thing that I think is really important to make good instructional media is knowing also your talent, right? So quickly assessing the strengths and weaknesses of your talent. Like the public speaking guy was really funny. He used to do stand-up comedy. And in every one of his videos, and there's hundreds of videos in this course, there's a joke or a hook in every video. It makes it really compelling and audiences love it. But he knows how to deliver a joke. And not everybody does. And when we've tried, sometimes we've tried to have people do jokes in their lectures, and not funny. They fall flat because they don't know how to deliver a good joke, right? So again, really understand and know your talents, strengths, and weaknesses. Another really big and important thing about online media, and I call it kind of crassly, don't waste the student's time. Don't waste your audience's time. So make sure the videos are smaller. We like 6 to 12 minutes, we think is the sweet spot of videos. A 2-minute video, the students can be like, what was that? Why did I even watch that? That would have been better text in the course than it would have been a whole video. And then also, like, it's an online video. They can rewind it, they can speed it up, they can slow it down. So you don't need to repeat yourself. So when I first started in this work, we had a lot of instructors that were coming from campus, and they had been teaching 2-hour lectures, right, every day for decades. And they came in and they're like, I can't make a 12-minute video. My lectures are 2 hours long. And then it took us a while to convince people, like, they're actually not. Like when you're in a live class, you deliver part of the lecture, and then maybe you ask a rhetorical question, and you get some feedback from the audience, or you stop and tell a joke, or there's an activity. And so those 2-hour lectures were actually broken up into smaller chunks. And the other thing I like about chunking your lectures is that as a student, when I go to review, I don't want to sort through a 2-hour video trying to find that one piece of information I want. Whereas properly chunked videos, well named, then I can say, oh, there is there's the lecture on that aspect of Agile, right? And I can easily find it. I can get the information I need. I can answer the question or do the task that I want. And we were talking about this just before the podcast. Another thing that I think is extremely important in good online education is authenticity. By that, it's like, if I don't believe the person telling me the information, like I don't believe they're actually an expert on the subject, I'm not going to absorb that information. For that reason, like I tell all the instructors, we script everything. We have the instructors write out scripts. We put it on a teleprompter, and they're reading off a teleprompter. And if they make a mistake or flub a word, I tell them to keep going. Like I don't stop them and make them do over. And rarely we ever do a second take. Literally every of the 1,000 videos I've made, the 99% have been first take videos. And so, like I said, if you make a mistake, then people know that you're not a robot. And that you're a real person, you're human just like them, and you make mistakes.
I think the shorter chunks too it makes it easier to replace the videos, right? So if it becomes outdated or there's something wrong with it or the students don't like it, then we can, like, we ended up replacing quite a few of the first videos that we did in the project management certificate program because the students didn't like them, right? And so we had to go back and redo a lot of those videos.
Right.
Yeah, you're laughing. Yeah, there's a story behind that. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, it really does make it a lot easier to redo them, and replace them too. So.
It's super important too to listen to your students, right, and to take that feedback. Yeah. And I know it's been interesting because when we first started doing this work, the idea was that all videos were going to last for 3 to 5 years, right, and then we would do a major revision. But when we started working, the program we were working with you in, it was called Career Accelerator, which was a series of certificate programs that we're actually still developing. But realizing like how quickly the information changes, and like coding courses, right? So the Python comes out with a new version, and then suddenly half our videos are obsolete. Like the new version, you don't code that way anymore. And so they have to be revised more often.
Yeah. And so I did videos for another university. And I mean, I did I think 10, this is my first time doing videos. And I think I did it was like a 10-week course, and we did probably 20 to 25 videos maybe. And it took me a full 2 days to do those videos, filming them, because he made me stop and go back every time I flubbed a word, right? And you were just saying, and with you and I would do 40 in a day, in 3 hours, we do 40 videos. I mean, if you could do that much time, but yeah, we would just run through them, and then you would just edit out stuff that didn't work. So I really like that approach too. Yeah. Yeah. And it does make it more authentic if I'm messing up. Yeah.
One of the biggest surprise faculty have when they come to us is how much work the script writing is, but it's also the most important thing that we do. One of the reasons I try to get the instructors in or through the studio as quickly as possible is it's exhausting. So nobody can be on video for more than about 2 hours unless they're really used to it, maybe 3, but they start to get tired. And then the reason you and I, and it was more we usually did about 20 videos per session. And one of the reasons that we could do that is because you had scripted everything and it was in your voice. And so it was easier for you to read. And again, I didn't stop and make you start over unless it was something I didn't think I could edit out. And so I'm constantly listening to what the instructor is saying. I'm just like, yeah, I can fix that. Yeah, I can fix that. No, we can't fix that one. Okay, back up to the top of that paragraph, and we'll do that again, and I can cut it together. But
I don't want to be coming in there every day for 2 weeks to film, 3 videos. It's I want to go in there one night and get them over with, And I mean, I know that sounds terrible, but really seriously, all the work is up front, scripting and practicing and understanding the material, and then going in and shooting it and not wasting people's time. Yeah.
Right. Another trick that I have that is extremely important, and because we will build out one class, we spend about 3 months building out one course, and one of the first things that I do with the instructors is I have them come into the studio and do a screen test. So bring me something, and it doesn't matter. It can be a lesson, it can be just your bio, it really could be anything. But it's something that's in your words that then you read off the teleprompter while I roll the camera. And that demystifies the whole experience. And then when the instructor goes back to write their scripts out, then they understand what's going to happen when they get to the studio. If I don't do a screen test, then they have these crazy ideas of what it's going to be like, what it's going to, how hard it's going to be. And their anxiety and their nerves just ramp up, and they come into the studio and they're like, but that little screen test, and I usually don't even show the screen test to the instructor, just the fact that they came in, they've got the lights in their face, they've got a microphone on them, they're reading a teleprompter. So, but again, that's scripting.
Awesome. That's awesome. Best practice. I love that.
Right?
That's great. Yeah, that's really great because they get so nervous and just all the spinning that goes on in their head, while they're writing the script. So that's great. I love that.
I remember your first session, Deborah.
But I had already done videos with another university, so it wasn't my first time.
So you were nervous. You were still
I know,
there.
it's still a robot.
You had your arms straight down. You were so tense. Like, Deborah, relax. It's okay. So you relaxed a little bit. But then it was funny because then you went to work on your other course with the guy that made you do it over and over again. And then he told you that you needed to use gestures. And so you came in for our second session, and I thought you were directing air traffic. You were like...
Stop making fun of me. You're not supposed to come on
I have the video somewhere. I'm going to totally put that on YouTube. Deborah.
Okay, I think you should. And then that other one, what's that other one where I did where I was like flubbing the same word over and over and over? Like this, that was the only time where we had to like reshoot the same paragraph like 10 times. Because I kept saying, I don't know, I can't remember what the word was, but it was like over and over and over again. I flubbed that same word. And I can't remember which word it was, but that was the funniest thing. We were laughing so yeah, but now I can just do like 25 videos and not even sweat it. So yeah, it does take practice, and it's not something that comes like naturally to people. So yeah, it's tough, and it's great to have somebody like you that is just really easygoing and knows what he's doing and puts you at ease. So I love that. So it's a lot of fun.
Well, it's back to that authenticity thing, right? If you're not comfortable and relaxed, then you're not going to be as believable.
Right. I agree.
And then the trick is, and I learned this years ago, I was making a video with for a choreographer, and they had this big dance production. It was really intense, like all these different angles and stuff. And there was this one shot, I just loved this one dancer, and she's underneath this table, and she has this look on her face, and it's amazing, right? And it was so powerful to me. And then I pointed it out to the choreographer, and she's like, "Oh no, that's not good." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Because she's thinking." And that stuck with me over the years, and I realized when I'm in the studio shooting with somebody and they're having trouble and they're making lots of mistakes, it's because they're thinking. So, you know, when you come into the studio, you become a character, right? If you lecture to live classes, you have an academic character that you already play. Or we all have the way we talk or the game face that we use when we're talking to others. And so, my job is to get people to channel that character and just be that authentic person, that authentic instructor for project management or whatever your discipline is.
Yeah, it's great. You're really great to work with. They're really lucky to have you there at the university. So why don't you tell me what the most important consideration is when creating instructional media?
Consideration. I mentioned this before, but it is know your audience.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Yeah, know your student, know your discipline, and be respectful of their time. And you don't want to insult your audience by dumbing things down too much or being too wonky and in the weeds, right? So clear and concise always wins.
Okay, and so I'm gonna like go off script a little bit. So this was a huge question that I don't know if men have it, but women have it. What colors do I wear when I'm doing a video? I know you have a huge opinion on this, so let's do it.
No, actually, I don't have a huge opinion. So we use a green screen in my studio at the University of Washington. So you can't wear anything green, otherwise you will disappear, or your clothes will disappear, which probably don't want. So green, and then the other requirement I have for clothing is tight patterns, and that's because the cameras can tend to cause the fabric to chew. So like cable net sweaters don't work. Real tight patterns like herringbone. So if you've got your professor jacket, you come in, it's not going to work. So those are the biggest things. And then I don't tell people what to wear because I want them to wear what makes them comfortable. Right. So again, they have their teaching uniform or their academic uniform or their business uniform. And that's what they're most comfortable in. And that's what I want them to wear. In general, solid colors work better than patterns. And there's also, and the reason for that also is your clothing can be a distraction. So you don't want to you don't want to distract your audience from the information you're trying to give them. So if you have that really interesting sweater with, there's that Christmas sweater that Aunt Zelima gave you, probably not exactly.
So like, it doesn't matter if it's a light or dark color. Like I always thought that like black or dark blue were like the best colors to wear on video. That doesn't really matter.
Not in my opinion. Again, plus, what works better with your hair and your eyes and your skin tone. Again, I don't. It was funny. I had this woman. She came into the studio for came in for an interview, and they were telling me that this was the first time they'd done a video, except they had done one in, I think, at UC Berkeley for something or another, and they went into the studio and they just got their hair cut. It was like amazing, like long bang, sharp. It looked amazing, right? The same haircut that they had when they came to interview with me. And they went into the studio and they had hair and makeup people, which I was like, what, they had hair and makeup people? But they went in and they were like, oh, you can't wear that. Made them change the clothes and then took their amazing haircut that they had just got the day before and flattened it down.
What?
Yeah. And so that poor person was traumatized from that experience, right? And I'm like, so when you come into my studio, I'm like, oh no, you're fine. You're totally fine. I love what you're wearing. Your hair's great.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that goes into the authenticity then. Yeah, that does. Okay, so what about mistakes? Describe some of the common mistakes that you've seen. And this isn't to pick on people. It's to show, to give lessons learned about, what not to do when you're doing education or any kind of video. But, we're talking about educational videos here.
Right. The biggest mistake is thinking that you don't need a script and that you can ad-lib. I've ad-libbed teaching my courses for 30 years. I don't need a script. I have worked with people that could do that, but they are rarer than you think. So those people come in and will just stumble through and they're stopping and starting. Oh, I meant to say that. Oh, I forgot to say that. And it just takes forever. And I've spent literally, 4 hours doing one lecture with somebody that refused to script. So scripting makes it easier for you, for your videographer, for your editor, and your audience. So that like I said, is the biggest thing. Also, and then the second thing I would say is overthinking, trying to be too fancy, trying to be something that you're not. Like I said, if you can tell and deliver a joke and want to put it in your lecture, please do. If you don't normally do that, don't do it because it's just going to fall flat and be ineffective. And then the other biggest thing is that lectures that are too long. Again, nobody wants to watch your 20-minute dissertation on whatever it is that, like, chunk it up. And it can be chunked. People always tell us, oh, but this is important. This is one single topic. And it's like, no, you can do part 1, 2, 3, right? 4. Again, 4 10-minute videos is way better than 1 40-minute videos for review and for audience attention.
Yeah, I agree. I especially, I know we talked about this earlier, but the scripting is so important. I mean, I teach in class, right? And I teach off the cuff. I do not have I rarely have PowerPoints. And then I started using PowerPoints just to keep me on track because I would totally go off track during class and then not cover everything I wanted to. But I thought when I first did videos, I'm like, what do I need a script for? I can get in front of an audience and talk forever. But you're right. It is, and it makes it so much easier for you as the person doing the video, as the talent, where you just have the script in front of you. You don't have to think about it, and it's there, and it's so much faster. So anybody out there that is going to be doing videos, I agree completely. Take it for somebody who's done hundreds of them. You really want a script. It's so important to put that time up front to write the script and get familiar and get everything in there that you want. Yeah, I totally agree. That's like the biggest thing, the biggest piece of advice I could give. Yeah.
And the added bonus to,
go ahead.
Real quick, the added bonus to writing scripts too is that then the instructional designer knows exactly what you're recording that day, and they can see and assess how it fits into the whole course. because the instructional designers don't sit in the studio with us, right? So they vetted the scripts, they've sent it to us, and then you perform that lecture, and then we just plug the videos in.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because we had two very excellent instructional designers, Maggie and Julie, and they would read through my scripts every time before and make edits and change them up and make them more more video friendly, and that was fantastic too. So it's just a really good. It's probably the best practice. Best practice. Okay.
Lots of best.
Not the best. Okay. So what equipment do you consider essential for making educational videos media?
Yeah. That's a great question. One of the most important things, and one of the things that people don't really think about, is audio. You need a good microphone. You need a good recording environment. And you need the ability to also clean up the audio, because rarely does any of us have the best environment for recording audio. It's been a real challenge the last few months with instructors recording at home. These are one of the best tools. These have Apple AirPods, have a really good built-in microphone, and they do a fantastic job. You have a Bluetooth. I have another one. I have one of those around here. These also work fine.
The
Bose one? Okay. Also, we've had a lot of good luck with people online I'm a big fan of lapel mics. And so that's what I use in the studio. Is I use a wired lapel mic. It's $100, another about $120 now, like Audio-Technica. It's been the standard for 40 years. I like those a lot because they're actually capturing the sound coming from your chest, not from your voice. So you don't have to worry about spitting or breath, that sort of thing. They also do a really good job picking up less of the environmental noise. So we've been buying $20, $25 USB mics and mailing them to instructors to use for recording their lectures on Zoom that work much better than laptop mics. Laptops have terrible mics built into them. So you should always find some alternative, even if you have like an external webcam that has a better microphone than your laptop. The Macs have pretty good microphones built in. PCs have terrible microphones. The other thing I think that makes good instructional media is being professional and being simple. We used to record every lecture twice and would do two sizes, so you could punch in from a wide, to a close-up, so we could cut, and that helped with people just to cut around when people made too many mistakes and that sort of thing. And we stopped doing that, and because people, the more we work with people and the better we got at coaching them, the more they could get through the lecture in one take and get them in and out of the studio. We're using a standard Sony HD camera. It's nothing terribly fancy. You don't need the $10,000 or $20,000 camera to make good instructional media. Our next upgrade will probably upgrade to a 4K camera eventually because that's where things are going. But again, it's also, being mindful of your audience. Most people are watching it on a 18-inch laptop or on their cell phone. You see it there, cell phone. They're watching videos on their cell phone. So, you don't need the fanciest camera. I'm a big stickler for lighting. I was a cinematographer for years. Actually still am. So I have a lot of lights in my studio so that I get really good keys from the green screen. Or we also shoot two-person interviews and screen capture recordings with the instructor with their laptop. So a lot of those we shoot with just a plain white background that then, because of the lighting, kind of turns out gray. So I'm a stickler for lighting, making sure, people aren't getting raccoon eyes or they have bad shadows on their chin, that sort of thing. I feel like it's my job to make my instructors look as best as I can and do a lot of that with lighting.
Yeah, my best side, which I never knew I had a best side.
Yes.
And sometimes you would make me sweat under all those lights. for hours, but you're like, it's essential.
It gave you a glow. That's what we were looking for.
Oh, okay, great.
We put you to glow.
What about this green screen? So I have one, but what are those things, and how do I get one? How do I use it?
So green screens again is nothing. It's ridiculously affordable. I think the green screen we're using is about $100 with a stand at B&H. And they're also amazing now. The ones that we use are like fuzzy blankets, which is great because they don't wrinkle. It used to be back in the day, you would have these like canvas green screens. You had to be super careful with them because if they got a wrinkle in them, somebody had to literally be out on set ironing the wrinkle out because that would affect your key. The most difficult thing about using a green screen is the lighting has to be right. And so the green screen has to be lit, ideally is lit perfectly, so evenly, so the top can't be brighter than the bottom and vice versa. Same with the left and the right. And then ideally, you have a separate set of lights. So you have one set of lights lighting the green screen, a separate set of lights lighting the subject. Probably getting way too far in the weeds. So as far as home green screen, so how we do that is, if there's anybody out there knows, is we use KinoFlows, which are fluorescent tubes. They've been a standard for years in the film industry, and you also want a diffuse light. So all of our KinoFlows have they call it a flosier. Flosier or something like that, which is a piece of fabric over the light. And so that helps to disperse the light so you don't get hard shadows, and it helps spread the light better. And then how a green screen works in post and editing is that you pull what's called a chroma key, which is where you isolate that color green and you tell the computer to get rid of it. So the keyers have become quite good just in the standard. We're an Adobe Creative Suite shop, so we use Premiere for everything, and the keyer in Premiere is quite good. I know my lighting's set up; it's consistent because I have the studio, and we can pretty much just go in, click the green, couple of tweaks on the settings, and we're good to go. The Zoom, so Zoom is doing keying. This is it's a fake background. It's actually my window right here. But you can see how it's like kind of crunching in on my hair and my body. And then also when I move my fingers around. So that's the kind of stuff that you don't want. So I'm not a fan of keying in Zoom because it's not that great. But then again, in this time when everybody is Zooming, you get used to it and we get interesting backgrounds like yours. I love you looking over your own shoulder. Just kind of funny.
Yeah, well, the Zoom works better on a Mac than it does on a PC because I've done it on both. And I actually, on my PC, I had to have a green screen behind me for Zoom. And on my Mac, I don't have to. Yeah, the Mac, it works better. So, yeah.
Yeah, the Mac has a better built-in camera. And
I agree.
So as I was talking about microphones earlier, there's external cameras that you can buy, have way better mics. They're also way better cameras. Particularly PCs have terrible cameras in them, terrible microphones.
Well, yeah. I mean, got to save money somewhere, right?
Right.
So I use a lapel microphone when I do my videos for my clients, and I love it. So, yeah. Okay, so when you and I did videos, we used something called a light board. That's what it's called, right? Okay.
Correct.
So can you explain that? Because I loved using that and my students really love it. And so go ahead and explain that and how instructors can use something like that.
The light board is super cool. So this is a DIY. I can't remember the university that built the first one, but somebody just had this wild idea. Let's build it. And they built this thing. And so there are free instructions online for you to build your own. And there are now companies that will build and sell them to you. We ended up hiring some local builder artist guys and women to build to build ours. But what a light board is a piece of 4x8 architectural glass. And so it's the same glass that they put on buildings, right? And then the trick is that you then take a strip of LED lights and put around the edge of the glass. And then you put that glass in a metal frame. The LED lights are on a rheostat, so you can adjust the brightness of them. And then you buy fluorescent bistro markers, which you can get on Amazon. And then you write on the board. The glass being internally lit causes the writing on the board to pop. Now, the camera's on the other side of the board, so the instructor's writing on the board like this, which makes everything backwards to the camera. Some cameras have an internal function to flip that image, or you can get a breakout boxes, which is what we did. What is that thing called? The decimator. Yeah, a great name. Red to the decimator. And that allows us to flip the video, and then we record it to an external hard drive. So it's a really effective thing. So a lot of instructors are used to, using whiteboards or chalkboards to teach with, and then sometimes complex concepts are best if you can draw them out. We've had people draw pictures. I had a Python instructor who was explaining circuits, and then would touch his pen to it, and then we made the light turn on in editing, that sort of thing. So the most challenging thing about the light board, though, is the lighting is tricky because you have a piece of glass, so you can't actually put lights in front of people like you want to. So we light them from above, and they tend to get raccoon eyes a little bit if they get too close to the board. And then the other tricky thing about the light board is that sometimes instructors will fill up the entire board and they have no place to be without writing all over their face.
Yeah, so I've done it both ways. I've done it on a whiteboard with a video, and it's hard because you have to move out of the way so that they can see what you're writing, and it's really hard. And that the light board was so awesome because you can see me, you can see my face, and I'm talking and I'm writing at the same time, and they can see what I'm writing. And yeah, you're right. I did all the mathematical stuff on the light board for the PM certificate, and it was great. It was a lot of fun, but that light did make me hot because it was right on top of my head. So a lot of breaks when we did the light board sessions, but they were well worth it. Those are some of the most popular videos.
So again,
the light board ones.
Back to your question about what makes good instructional media, and one of those, this reminds me of something is use the right approach for the subject. So like you were saying, you had to write out a bunch of complex equations. The light board was the way to do that. We can do it in post. We could spend a bunch of time animating stuff, that sort of thing. But it was a quick and effective way. And then another thing I want to bring up is interviews. So we do a lot of interviews with subject matter experts. And for several reasons. One is that the instructor doesn't have to write a script, which they like. And seeing two experts in conversation, like this podcast, is a really powerful tool to get information across. And that, people can see the passion that people have about Python programming, project management, or geography. And you can really explore subject matters in a way that you won't in a lecture.
Yeah, that's a great point. I love it. Okay, so I have a question. So if I am a business person, or I have my own business and it's just me by myself, I don't have a lot of money, but I want to do some videos on what I do, like sell, or just do like a short class to kind of promote myself or something like that. I just want to do videos. What kind of equipment should I do? How should I start out? And I don't have a lot of money.
So you have what you need in your pocket already. Your cell phone has a really good camera. It has a really good microphone. It records video. You can post it straight to the web from there. There are free or low-cost editing applications. If you have an iPad, even better, or a tablet. So the app we use an iPad as a teleprompter. It was a very expensive piece of software. I think it was $14.99. And you import Word documents, and then it'll scroll. It scrolls. You just read it off the screen, and you can enable the camera in your iPad and microphone and record your lecture directly from that iPad. If you are working from a tablet or a phone, the most important thing to remember is where is that phone located. And you can buy, I think it was like $25. I bought on Amazon a little tripod and a holder that holds your phone. And so you could sit that on a table. And you just want to make sure that the camera is right in front of you like this. You don't want to do the top-down thing or usually your cell phone's on a table, right? So it's pointing up and we're looking up your nose. Nobody wants to see up your nose. So for $25, you can get a cell phone holder. Again, just use your cell phone. The Androids have great cameras. The iPhones have great cameras. Pretty much every cell phone, other than maybe a flip phone, has a good camera and good microphones are built in. And if you want to get fancy, you can buy $20, $30, $50 lapel mics that will also interact with your phone, or use your earpods or your Bose Bluetooth like Deborah. And then, go ahead.
No, I mean, I've used my Android, and there's free teleprompter software out there too. Or you can buy the pro version of it for like $3. Right? Yeah. Right. I think that's what you were talking about was and it just goes right on top of your camera, and you can write a script and film while you're reading it.
Right. And then you could get Bluetooth dongles to, start and stop the script, whatever. Again, all this stuff. I mean, I think you could set yourself up and be recording for under $100. So there really is no excuse not to do it.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, isn't it? The hardest part is the editing part. Is like, once you're done filming, you have to upload it to something, and if you're going to be professional about it, is edit it a little bit. And that's what takes the longest time.
Well, again, that's where the scripting is so important in using a teleprompter, right? Because if you can get your entire bit in one take, you don't have much editing. You're just trimming off the head and the tails of you starting and stopping the camera. And so that's the best case scenario. And that's always my goal in the studio, is so that I can send it to my editors and they're not spending hours piecing this thing together. I want them to spend that time putting text and compelling images and reinforcing the learning content, not making, piecing something together out of a pile of mistakes.
Yep. So I think we've made that point about 5 times during this discussion. Scripting. You're still going to have those instructors who say, "Hey," and I worked with one of them. Right? He did not want a script, and I was doing so many more videos than he was, and so it's like you cannot do it. I don't know. You say you worked with a couple of people that can do it, and I'm amazed at that they can. So
I had one instructor. I shout this guy out because I love him to death too. But Vicente Rafael, who did a course on Filipino history, and amazing. So he had this amazing office in this old building on campus, and it was floor to ceiling books. And this guy could just sit there and talk. And people love it. I mean, when I look at the analytics on our video streaming service, like all of his videos are watched by all of their students and watched to the end. And some of them are 20, 30 minutes long. Yeah. The guy is amazing. He could read the phone book and you'd be compelled.
Wow. Well, there's just people like that, right? I mean, I'm not one of them. I have to script and I have to be prepared, and that's just how I am. But I mean, there are people like that, but I would say probably 99% of the population, if you're going to do a video, script it. Yep. It's gonna. Go ahead.
And even if you script it and don't plan to use your script, just the act of writing it out and organizing your thoughts, read it out loud a couple of times, and then try to ad-lib it. That is effective for some people that feel like they're going to be too reedy.
Yeah. And that's a good point, because it makes you think about what you're going to say if you're writing it down beforehand. So Yeah,
right.
That's a great point.
Another tip about reading off a teleprompter is to try to be natural and not. One of the biggest mistakes is what I call they get doe-eyed. So they're reading off the script and they're scared to blink because they're afraid the words are going to leave and they'll never see them again. And they don't move their head. So tell people to relax. The public speaking guy, he had this amazing trick that I've never seen anybody else do. But so he would be talking and he would turn his head and he would still be talking and not miss a word of the script. And I was like, Matt, how are you doing that? He's like, oh, I'm side-eyeing the teleprompter. So he was still reading even though it looked like he was looking away.
What was he doing? He was looking out the corner of his eye? Because I saw him doing that. And I'm like, how does he read a script and have his head turned away?
Yeah, side-eye.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. I was laughing, but people can't see you during the podcast, the faces you were making. So we'll release the video so they can see what I was laughing at.
Okay.
So anyway, Ryan, we're at the end of our hour. We're going to start winding down, and it was so fun having you here. We'll have you back in again in 6 to 8 months, and have another talk with you. I know you're so much fun, and such a wealth of information about making videos, which is I get so many questions about making videos. So it was great to have you on today. And so can you let everybody know how they can get in touch with you and if you have any last words?
Last words. I don't really have any last words other than it's great to talk to you as usual. I really enjoyed working with you. It was great to do this podcast, and it also makes me happy that you're showing people how to do this and do it well. I love the democratization of information that we've experienced with this technology revolution, and that you can just reach so many people so easily.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I love it because I this is not like my first thing that I do. I'm a project manager, not a project manager anymore, but I do consulting, and that's most of my business. But this is fun to do this for clients, and I've been making a lot of courses and videos for clients now that they know I can do it. So it's fun, and I like to do the show to get the word out and bring people on who know what they're doing. Right.
And also, I also want to thank.
How do we get in touch with you, Ryan? Go ahead. Go ahead one more time. Go.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to thank Phoenix Business Radio for supporting you. This is great. You can get in touch with me. My personal email is rkadams7@gmail.com. And it's probably the best way to get a hold of me. Or you can find me on LinkedIn under Ryan K. Adams. There's a more famous Ryan Adams, so I have to insert the K in movie credits and stuff.
Okay, and we'll put that information on the show notes on podcast.thelurnist.com, where you can find the recording. And so just a reminder to our listeners that all this show is live. We do record them and release them as a podcast. So please subscribe to the LURNIST Show on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or your platform of choice. You can find the links to the show and the show notes at podcast.thelurnist.com. And so that's it for now. Thanks for listening. We will be back in 1 month at 11 a.m. Arizona time, whatever time that is at the time. And thanks again to our special guest, Ryan K. Adams. I really enjoyed having you on the show. Thanks.
It's great. Thank you so much.